Connie, and it's always really great this time of the year to come this way and not to St. Paul. I will be going to St. Paul, but I get to hang out here for a while this morning, and that's been really always nice already when I can get out and talk to people and see what's going on, because that helps guide our work at the department every day that we do. I just finished my first year as being commissioner, and I think that in this context it's really been an interesting year, and I kind of tell everybody that I really broke it down into challenges and opportunities, and I'm going to hopefully move on from that, but I think we're still kind of in that frame, that 2019, such a tough year, and as we look into 2020, but 2019, keep in mind we came off of 2018, that we had the lowest farm income that we'd had in 23 years. And then 2019, we went into a year ago, these days right now, we were having really heavy snows, and we had lost 300 barns in the state that collapsed. And then we went into a wet spring and prevent plant, 1.2 million acres, and then a late harvest. But in those challenges, I always say there's opportunities. One of them I was thinking about today, as we discussed, was those 1.2 million acres of prevent plant needed a cover crop. And so that was really interesting. And we've had that situation before. So we had to put cover crops on a lot of acres. And for a lot of farmers, they hadn't planted a cover crop before. And we've seen that before, so it led to other challenges with what are we going to plant and infrastructure. But it also gave a lot of different opportunities for what's a good cover crop. Is it ryegrass or oats, or is it something else? And so I think that's really interesting piece. I try to say, like right now we're in the legislative session, and we're looking at all of our things that we're trying to do. We're focused a lot of different ways on how we help farmers. Our biggest ask right now is our Rural Finance Authority, and I really encourage you to look at that if you ever are looking for different loans. At the department, we have 12 different loans that we have at the agency. We're currently out of money, and so we're hoping the legislature will pass a bill this week to give us $50 million bonding authority that we can make loans. That lasts us about 2 years right now. We're doing a lot of loans, but you're looking at doing livestock equipment or buying a farm or doing some improvements, restructuring. There's some good things there. We also have an Ag BMP loan that we're trying to put more money into that is really popular. It does things that are water related, no-till equipment. We do a lot of that. And there's a lot of interest from legislators in that, and that to me gets back to soil health. As well as, challenges and opportunities. I always say this. Yesterday I had the opportunity to sit down with Professor Wise from the university, and one thing that I worked on before I was commissioner was trying to grow our Forever Green initiative that puts continuous living cover on the land. And it's really exciting to see what we've been doing. We doubled the money that we put into that last year at the legislature, and we're continuing to hopefully grow that and see the different crops. You're familiar with Kernza and pennycress and camelina and perennial flax. The neat thing about the Forever Green initiative is to try to bring the markets along at the same time. And as Connie was saying, or was it Teresa? I was just saying, but it was just saying, like, I'm starting to see like the companies come along. Every day I get to meet with, whether it is a big company, whether it's Cargill or General Mills, and they're working on this. They're very interested in our water quality program. I'm glad that we're a sponsor. Visit the booth if you have questions. That program started slow. I'm not going to like sugarcoat that or anything, but it's really taken off now. I mean, now I get the updates every week. We're over 800 farms. We're getting close to 600,000 acres. By the way, we celebrated the 500,000th acre this summer at John Stevens' farm. Where's John? He's going to be one of the presenters. And John did a great job. When we were out at John's farm this summer, the thing that stuck with me is we had the governor out to John's farm and look at all the practices he's doing. And I like what John said about that a few years ago he and his dad had kind of stood on the ridge of their farm and looked at that field and said, we're going to do something different here. And then a few years later, he's standing in the field with the governor celebrating the practices he's doing on his farm. So I think that's pretty neat. And I just want to highlight that, you know, as commissioner too, I've tried to get out and visit, and we can see things are happening out in the countryside, whether it's at John's farm or the Bright Crisis of Summer, where I saw so many people gather to learn. And I see who those people are. You know, they're not what I call the usual suspects. There are different things. It's all kinds of people wanting to learn. The Talbots, I saw that Michaela was going to be a presenter. I don't know if she's here yet or not. Oh yeah, back there. And so I toured their farm, and if I remember right, you were saying grow 10 different crops on using 20 different cover crops on your farm, way in northwest Minnesota. And we didn't get to their farm till 8:45 at night, and we toured their farm, and it was very exciting to see every corner of the state, things that are going on. And so at the Department of Agriculture, we want to continue to grow our water quality certification program. We've added this year wildlife endorsements and now our soil health endorsement, and I encourage you to look at that. We have great staff. We've now signed up 7 people, and we just rolled that out into the soil health endorsement. And I think that's a really exciting part. We also have our grazing specialist. I think that she's here today too. I'd encourage you to stop and look at that as well. I'm also very excited that this conference is looking at opportunities with silver pasture and agroforestry. That's something that we're looking at the Department of Agriculture. I was up in Grand Rapids about a month ago and looked at and met with them to see like how can we grow this, because I think there's tremendous interest. Where I live in Pine City, we have a lot of farmers have a lot of forested land, and I just think there's tremendous opportunity, so we're continuing to work on that. I also want to mention that you have a speaker today, or you're looking at plant-based proteins, and I think that's really interesting. Jordan from Purus, I don't know if that person is here yet. I haven't met Jordan, but oddly enough, I spoke with one of the leaders of Purus, which is a plant-based protein company, Tyler Lorenzen, yesterday, who I've been meeting with, and they're building a plant in Dawson, Minnesota, and going to be really using field peas, but looking at other proteins. And that it can be kind of a touchy subject, I'll tell you. I'm a big cattle person, and I really support those proteins, but this market is growing. At the Department of Agriculture, we also regulate grocery stores, and so I do my best to visit grocery stores as well, because that's one of my other pet issues, is how do we protect our grocery stores that we have and grow our food co-ops, but that's a real challenging issue. And it's really interesting to see, when I ask grocery stores, what's your fastest growing area in your grocery store? In the metro areas, not as much in the rural areas, but they'll say first it's their deli, right? And so everybody wants quick food now. But then they'll say their protein sections. So their pea or different plant-based proteins are the fastest growing section in their grocery store. So I think as agriculture in the state, we have to recognize that, and we have to look at the opportunities that are there. They also say they really don't see a dip in their meat sales either in the grocery store, which tells me that there's room for both, and there's opportunities for farmers to have another crop or make some money on that. And so that's something that we're really interested in, we're trying to look at and work on. So with that, I just want to thank SFA for all the work that they do, and glad to be here today, and I'm going to be here through the first break. So thanks for having me.